What's going on, family? I'm excited to invite you to another episode of Conversations with a Politician. We have had some crazy dialogue so far. Let's check it out together.
Literally, if all you're doing is waiting on me to give you the microphone and say, go ahead and go for it, and that's your most proudest moment, instead of actually having a bag and you able to make some moves for your community, I'm sorry. I'm judging if this is a preacher or a preacher at all. Sorry. Forgive me, bro. I'm sorry. Don't come for my brother on the live, y'all. I'm here.
I love it.
Because it's so many that's hitting that have a double life. That's what we living at. That's what's going on. That's not everybody, but that's what our single women are dealing with. But that doesn't mean, single women, you start loving on another woman.
Woo! Hey, yo. Hey.
Yes! Because a woman cannot do what a man can.
He can't if he can't.
Now you said
Come on with it, Pastor. Come on.
Did I take you out, Elisha?
Listen, I don't know. I don't think it's the content that's bothering me. It's just how chill you are. While you a little too chill for me.
While she snatched our edges.
Because if I hit the right chord just for you, baby, then you gonna look right my way. Okay. See,
I just wanted to be noted the fact that you really carried on for an hour and 34 minutes behind an organ is hilarious.
We have a form of the presence of God. We have a form of, oh my God, the glory. We have a form of it. But my God, when the real comes in, you don't know it because you only know the form. You know it has to be a role. They have to do this certain run. They have the choir have to look this type of way. They have to scream this type of way.
It's go back into those toxic cycles and not go back into that negative situation, to not isolate and withdraw from other people, then I'm going to stay stuck in the same cycle. And I think that's what makes therapy so beautiful, because we're teaching, practical tools and principles and strategies on how to maintain your deliverance so that, your deliverance goes beyond the altar.
Get stirred up, pulled out my shot. Listen, because this is such a passion of mine to really, really cultivate worship leaders in this time. You gotta be processed. You have to be ready to lead people. And I'll say this right here, to lead people into the presence of God. But you can't, if you ain't never been there, you can't lead nobody.
That's it.
And it takes a life that is totally surrendered to God. Worship is a complete surrendered lifestyle posture. Every moment of my life, I am intentional about making sure that my heart is postured before God, in my attitude, in my actions, in how I treat my husband, and how I govern my children, and how I treat the people in the store. Is God glorified by my thoughts? Is God glorified by what's going on in my heart? You know what I'm saying? I gotta give it to y'all because I'm getting stirred up.
We can't just throw them to the side because next year when we get back in church, we're going to still need them same people to help us preach. Oh, I can't pick them.
God, you just dropped so much wisdom right there.
You know what I'm saying? I think this is the time that God is really forcing the gathering to divorce perspective and marriage structure and order. We can no longer be married to the dysfunctional tradition that never worked anyway. It was only all we knew. Now that God has thrown us out of the building, this really gives God the chance to put his fingerprint back on what church is, how it's supposed to go, what it's supposed to sound like.
We live in a millennial generation. You can smoke weed and still be saved. Hallelujah. You can go to the club and still get up and preach on Sunday morning. So it's hard for me to grasp that word when I've seen your life on social media. And I think at times we can sabotage our own brand because we're telling people that Jesus delivers, but we still doing the same stuff that we're trying to deliver other people out of.
Listen, we're about to embark on another journey tonight. While we're here, please share. Let's get this on all the timelines. And let's talk together. Y'all talk to us in the comments. Post your questions, comments, concerns, whatever you have. And let's have this conversation together.
Well, what's going on, family? We are back at it again. I'm pretty excited. It's been a little bit of a hiatus for me. I've been off for a second trying to make some things happen in the real, we got the real world and the virtual world. And look who it is. We've got the real world and the virtual world. And so it has been quite the journey working so far, but I'm excited to be back. And as y'all can see, this is gonna be good. Yeah, I'm not even gonna waste some time with it. On the screen, you can see our guests. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. We're gonna go clockwise form. People get on here and then all of a sudden they can't talk. And so to combat that, we're gonna go around the world, but not that way, but this way, starting with JR, Pastor JR, and then going all the way around.
What's up, everybody? J.R. McDonald. I currently pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church in Gary, Indiana. And before I was a pastor, I was served as the music director at New Zion Temple in Hammond under the Bishop Brandon Jacobs for over 10 plus years. So I thank God for this opportunity. I look forward to sharing what God has in store with all of these brothers.
I'm the Gene. Gene, that's it. Plain old Gene. I'm just here to talk with everybody. I'm just grateful to be a part. I appreciate you having me, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Well, I guess I'll go. Hello, everybody. More grace, as they say in church. Hope y'all doing well. My name is Terrence Ruffin. That's my big head brother y'all see in the background. His name is Bots. Y'all know him. Move. Man, I'm just Terrence. I'm just Terrence. Glad to be a servant of the Lord. I happen to be the personal musician for Bishop Marvin L. Sapp, producer, father, all of that good stuff.
I guess I'm next. Mike Adrian Anderson. Got to go to full name because people know me as both Mike and Adrian. So yeah, but drummer, super honored to be a part of this, man. Never would have thought. I've been in a same video chat with you fellas. I'm familiar with most of y'all on here, so definitely honored to be a part with y'all. Thank you, EJ.
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody? I am the presiding prelate of the Everlasting Apostolic Faith Assembly of. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody know. I'm Tim Clinton, and I'm honestly honored on here. I don't understand how you got me and my big brother Terrence Ruffin on here. Listen, Terrence is enough all by himself. Then I'm kind of scared with Gene gonna say, "Hey, when it comes to controversy, don't even ask me. Them two right there, I know for sure can just do what they do."
Oh my God. No, I mean, this is definitely a cast, and I'm excited that everybody took out the time. One more time, I'm excited that you guys said yes. If you get on here, please like, share, etc., etc. We're not going to waste time. As we say, the hours are spent. And so let's go ahead. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and start off with a banger. I wonder who's doing that. Oh, there it is. I think I'm gonna start this off with a banger, and that is: should we consider getting paid in church a gig? I really could go much lighter to start this off, and I probably should have, but I feel like if we just jump into the deep, then everything will be all right. So let's just go ahead and do that. Should getting paid in church be considered a gig? Oh, it's quiet in Zion. What's the matter, Zion?
Tim, why don't you go ahead on and grace us with that, and then we'll move to Pastor JR. Let's go that way.
Oh, do I consider that as a gig? I mean, the older I've got, I don't play in church to get paid. I value my time, and my time is what I get paid for. And so whatever I think my time is worth, that's what I feel I should be paid. And so if you can't afford what I feel like my time is worth, no problem. So it can be church, it can be outside of church. This is what I feel, over the years, I have acquired what I've acquired, and respect to time. And so that's how I look at it. I don't really look at it at church now because I know it can get very controversial on this subject and get real because we look at the ministry aspect. I'm for that as well. I don't think you should just go to church just to get a check. Musicians, and we discussed talking to musicians. If anybody know me, if I'm ever involved in any ministry, if I see a weak area in ministry, it ain't even got nothing to do with me playing keys. Like right now, I live in Jacksonville, Florida, Bishop Rudolph McKissick. I'm over all marketing. You ain't gonna see me on no flyer. I'm making sure that everything that we need to be put out for the members, for the deacons, for the elders, for the members, to make sure y'all know we got prayer in the morning. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know. My take is different, but for me, like I said, it's based on the time I've spent throughout the years to perfect what I have. And so I believe I get paid for my time, not for just because I'm playing at a church.
I don't know why Brother Terrence just put the ball in my court, man, because he's to tackle these things, man. But just in my field of seeing different people how they take it, I'm led to believe it's a mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's a mindset with the different musicians. Some people take it as a gig, and like Tim said, some people take it as ministry. You get what I'm saying? So I believe it's all about the personal mindset, man. And I think, like Tim said, you go to church, man, you should just be there for church. You should be there to serve God and all of that type of stuff. And I just know that everybody is not in that mindset. Some people do it just to get paid. Some people do it to pay their bills and all of that type of stuff. But man, I've learned, man, that sometimes you can't even use the church, especially now, as a gig, because man, we all kind of suffering right now. You get what I'm saying? We all going through some things right now, and you're gonna need some second income, some second sources coming through other than the church, man. So I'm an advocate of, man, not using the church mainly as a gig. You get what I'm saying? You should use it to serve, do ministry, do it the right way. And man, I know this is another controversial subject, but should musicians get a job? You get what I'm saying? So, hey man, sometimes we got to deal with it, man. So it's all about the mindset to me.
Well, let me piggyback on what everybody said. I tried to tell pastors, I'm gonna kind of swing this a whole different way. I try to tell pastors all the time that you can't, pastors and all of us musicians or have been musicians, we're not graced as pastor to be a pastor now, yes. The issue is pastors wanting musicians to not be about getting paid and want them to be about ministry. Here's the issue. The issue is, if you're hiring me to do a particular job, you're hiring me to do a job because I've heard of you, I might have heard about you, but you're not paying me to do ministry. You're paying me to do music right now.
You're paying me to make sure that your music is tailored to fit your worship experience. Now, because I'm coming in at a quote unquote paid position, the problem is I got to make it up in my mind, where's the ministry aspect going to kick in? Because the truth of the matter is it could be ministry all day, but if we don't show up, we ain't getting paid. It could be ministry all day, but if we ain't playing and we're doing everything else outside of doing what we're required to do, we get docked. If we're not there on time, you either getting terminated or you getting docked. And that's the gist of the situation. So what I'm saying is, to us, we got to make sure that our hearts are in line with God first. But then even though it's ministry, it's still business. Because the church people, they giving their tithe and their offering. Who is it serving? It's serving us to a degree. It's serving us to serve the people. So I heard a preacher tell us one time, people pay to come to church and we get paid to come to church. But does that negate us making sure that our hearts are pure? Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I've been at Antioch 7 years. 7 years ago, I was at a church. And I'm gonna just tell y'all straight up, it was a gig. The pastor couldn't preach. And I'll call his name. Y'all know me. But I'm gonna be cool tonight. Pastor couldn't preach. He didn't have a great personality. His wife is the one who had the oil. He was a micromanager and he was controlling. So it was a gig. And when I felt like this fool had lost his ever-loving mind, I decided to remove myself from that place and went to another place where it started off as me being a partner. And even becoming a partner of this particular ministry, I was sent through the ringer because of who I was, because of what I did, and because of people thinking that I would not last even a year. So it switched from my end from being a hireling, so to speak, to being a partner at another ministry, and then merging the two. There's things that I do at my church now that my church does not have to ask me to do. It's not in my job description or anything. I make sure that the sound quality of my church coming across the internet is pleasant. Am I getting compensated to do that? Is that a part of my pay grade? No, but because I care about my church, I care that my name is out there, and I care that excellence is intentional. I take my time. I went from working 2 days at my church to working every day for my church. I was responsible for Wednesday, some funerals, 2 services Sunday morning. I work every day for my church now because I have to make sure that my church, when y'all see us come on, we sound right, we listening. I mean, we looking right, we looking the part, we sounding the part, everything is in order. That's outside that. Now that's ministry, because that's totally outside of what I'm getting paid for. And the reason why that's like that is because I've went from just getting a check to my heart being involved. And that's the problem with a lot of us. And I can't put it all on the church. I can't put it all on musicians. All of us have our part that we've played for each other to be numb towards each other. Because pastors are numb towards us and we are numb towards them. Instead of finding that place where we can come reason together, and then we can make sure that every time we step out, more than just us looking the part, we are working as a cohesive unit where the people can be blessed. That's just my take.
I just kind of like piggyback off what everybody said, because they kind of pretty much covered everything. I 100% agree with Terrence. Like, I feel that, as musicians, we have to let our hearts, get into the ministry. And that's why some musicians have a home church where their heart is, and some musicians have a church they just play at for a check, because they need the money, but they also have a heart for their home church. So they'll go and play at their home church for free, but they'll go to another church and ask for a check, because that's just, and I did that for a while until I was able to go to a church where I found everything that I wanted. I was able to be free musically and also had a great covering. And I found my heart, just like I fell in love with the church. So once I fell in love with the church, I found myself doing things like going to the church and just cleaning up and doing like custodial work, serving. I started serving there, doing certain things that I didn't do at other churches. And to this day, I do the same thing. And my church takes care of me, but I look past that. There's a lot of times they're like, "Yo, how much you want for this?" And I'm like, "Nah, this. Don't worry about it. I'm doing it because I want it to be done. I want it to be right." So a lot of musicians, they look at it as a. I've seen musicians, and then another thing, I've seen musicians that call it a gig that shouldn't call it a gig, because you're not even doing the gig right. It's just like you in here, you trying to get $800, $900 a week, and you can't even play none of your keys, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't. It's just a lot of different ways to look at this, and a lot of musicians, they get it twisted. But like Terrence said, on the other hand, with the church, also the church, one thing that they didn't say is the church has to also be mindful of when they want to call it ministry and when they don't want to call it ministry. Because if my check is late, it's ministry. If I'm late to church, then it's business. So you got to make sure that I got the two. Let that coincide. Don't dock me for being late, but when my check is late, I can't complain about it because it's ministry. So there's just there's a lot of things that come in with this whole musicians calling it a gig. But I think that is, like Terrence said, it's all about your heart. Wherever your heart is where you're going to serve and you're going to minister at. And once that comes into play, then you don't have to worry about nothing.
Oh man, what do you say after Tim and Terrence talk like that? But man,
Nothing.
like these guys said, man, it's really relative to the person. And this question, I literally just saw this question come up last week, so it's funny that you asked this. But I mean, it just depends on the person. Because for me, when I'm playing in church, I'm gonna go in with the right attitude, looking to serve or whatever. But then I'm also want my money too, because I'm being hired to play. So it's really been a tug of war with musicians in churches for years. So this conversation, even after this, is going to keep being had. So I think a church serving at a church becomes a gig when somebody is really disconnected from there. When they're first going there, you disconnected. Even at the church I'm at now, I've been there for 10 years now. When I first got hired, I didn't talk to nobody for 6 months to a year, just because of how churches are. You get to know people and the women, and I'm coming in from dudes getting fired from negativity with people in the church. So I'm coming in with the mindset that this is a gig. This is my job. I'm getting paid, so I'm not about to talk to nobody. I'm about to do my job here, talk to the minister of music, whoever I have to interact with. I'm gonna do my job and I'm gonna go home. Then after, as the years go on, I really start to love the place that I'm at, and it's more than a gig to me now. This is really home for me. I started attending Bible study. I never had to play at Bible study, so I found myself going to Bible study and stuff. So now this has become more than just a gig. So, but I'm also still being paid for what I'm doing, because I'm still an employee at the end of the day. And like a few of y'all said, churches really like to play both sides of the fence. When they need you to do something, something for sure, or you the employee, but then I want you to be a member on this day because I want you to pay tithes or whatever. And you go here. I feel like you getting fed here, so you should pay tithes. But you also an employee too, so it's always that thing with that, man. So yeah, man.
Yikes. Yikes. I wanna this is gonna send us into the deep for a little bit, but I promise I'll reel it back in at some point. I wanna go here because that's crazy. I wanna go here. When we're talking about that relationship between ministry and the musician, um, how much of that do you think has to do with the leader and his vision and how he accommodates the musicians that serve in that particular house? I'm gonna throw this in there too. How much better is it when dealing with a pastor that has either been an artist or a former musician? If anyone's had the experience of kind of both sides.
Um, I don't think. Well, for me, I've dealt with pastors that are musicians and former musicians and former artists, and they treated me worse than pastors that weren't musicians. And I would have thought it would have been a better situation because they understand where we're coming from. But at the end of the day, I had to realize it's not even about what you did before. It's about your heart and what you want to do. Like the pastor I have now, his heart is just for people. So everything he does is for everybody. Like, it's not he's selfless. He listens. He's an older guy, but he's not opposed to any new ideas. So once I learned him and we got a connection and I connected with him, then it made it easier for me to work under his in his ministry because you have to know the pastor as well. You have to have some type of connection with the pastor because he's the leader of the house. So if you and the pastor clash, it's over. Like you ain't gonna be able to stay there because the pastor, especially like disrespectful pastors, the ones that get in the mic and no, that's not it. No, we don't. I'm from New York, so we not taking that. That's number one. We ain't doing that. Tim, no, he ain't. Tim, I know Tim. I know Terrence ain't taking it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, nah. If that pastor getting crazy, then it ain't gonna work ever. Ministry, nothing. Like pastors, I see you outside after service, pastor. You know, so it's like if that pastor got to be right, and then y'all got to have connection. I walk past my pastor after Sunday service, and every time I see him, he's Gene. We appreciate you, man. I love you. Thank you. That little bit means a lot to me, more than a check. Anything. Just every Sunday I see him. Some Sundays I don't see him. But anytime I see him, he goes, Gene, I appreciate you. Either we appreciate you or you're doing a great job. That means the world to me. So that little bit right there, it goes a long way for any pastors watching anything. Like, appreciate your musicians, and I feel like the ministry will go further with them in it.
Or we could move ahead unless
I want to hear from Pastor JR because he's the reason why I want to hear from him. No. Yeah, I'm not being funny. The reason why I want to hear from him because he's played both sides. Because the truth of the matter is you, and I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna say it real straight. You got some pastors that are buttholes. You do. I mean, that's a given. But you got other pastors who you're connected to, where if they do have to rebuke you, so to speak, in the moment, it's only because it's something that was lacking in that moment, and they're not doing it to embarrass you. Like, I've played for my dad for years, and him rebuking me in the opening church is what made me so attentive during service, that knowing that, hey, I don't want him to have to tell me this no more. So let me figure out a way to key in and listen to small details. Like my dad told me one time, he said, boy, why you playing a song about something else and I'm talking about healing? Me talking about healing should be a cue for you. Or me talking about salvation should be a cue for you, but it's all listening to details, and then the connection between the two, like you said, the connection between the two, you might not talk every day. Like I don't talk to Marvin Sapp every day. I don't talk to John Adolph every day. Some of the other guys that I serve under, I don't talk to them every day. But if I call, it's either, hey, I'm gonna call you right back, or let's get together for lunch, or hey, you got to watch that because you connected to me, and I'm okay with that, because even though I'm myself, people will look at me as Marvin Sapp's a musician before they look at me as Terrence Ruffin. So you also got to be cognizant of, shut up. You also got to be cognizant of the way you move in public, the way you move on social media. And I'm gonna just use myself for example. I would listen, if I had an issue with you and you wouldn't answer the phone, the best way I would get you is to tag you on Facebook and tell you everything I got to say in the open. But I got tired of being rebuked for it. So I had to figure out, and then here's the other thing, and I know this is outside the subject, we're going to go back to that, but let me tell a young musician this. You always got to be cognizant of how you move on social media platforms, especially when you have a certain level of notoriety. Here is why. I had to figure out that I couldn't have an issue with somebody in my city who's not known on a global level. So here I am on a global level coming down to give somebody who's local a platform on a global level when nobody would even know you. So in my mind, I had to step back, even through being rebuked by some of the people I ministered alongside, to say, hey, son, you got to understand that you're global, they're local. You never give a local person a global platform. And we get to the place where we just say and do anything in the public, not understanding that I'll never forget it. 16 years ago, I just moved to Houston, Texas. I was in Walmart on the telephone, and I was playing at a church named Higher Dimensions Church. I was in the line at Walmart laughing and joking on the phone. As soon as I hung the phone up, a lady was behind me. She said, excuse me. She said, aren't you the guy who plays the keyboard at Higher D? I said, yes, ma'am. And instantly the Holy Ghost arrested my thoughts. He said, now what if you'd have been out here in the public cussing, acting a fool, and acting crazy, and this woman pays attention to you while you're up ministry? That's him. Y'all pray for him. He needs prayer. Tim, you know this fool. So it's, and I'll say this, he's the older of us, but there's time as the younger brother, I pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, listen, you got to chill. And he don't be wanting to hear it. But because some of the people who know me know him, he's like, well, yeah, bro, all right, I get it. Yeah, all right, man. Okay. And then, I mean, even in that, God is even elevating him on his own platform now, So going back to that connection, it's a whole circle. We got to make sure. I wouldn't want to be under nobody who I can't talk to or who can't rebuke me and who I can't trust. That's why I had to get rid of that. I had to leave that other fool. And I called him a fool because that's what he is.
Doc, you might as well be speaking in tongues because we can't hear you, Doc.
Can you hear me now? All right, cool. On my bad. Let me preface my statement by first saying that I was a musician first. So I'm going to side with the musicians on this issue by saying that I believe that a pastor musician connection is everything. And let me say that it's everything because I believe that you should have a relationship with your musician outside of church. That's just my personal conviction. I know everyone is not that personable, you know what I'm saying? You just can't get in everybody's business that way. But I believe that if you're going to have a musician trusting your vision at the church, there has to be some type of connection established between the pastor and the musician. Like Tara said, no, you don't have to talk every day. But as a pastor, maybe you should reach out to your musician and let it be a conversation that is a way out of church. Hey, call your musician and say, hey, man, how are you doing? You know what I'm saying? How's your life going? Like, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Or, you know what I'm saying? You need to talk to me about something or whatever is going on. And I believe that we have the issue with a lot of musicians in our generation right now is the fact that they are serving at churches with pastors who are only concerned about their gift and not necessarily their soul. So I believe that connection between pastor and musician is definitely needed because that's the only way that the two can cohesively work together. Is if a pastor can come and say, "You listen, I'm concerned about you outside of your gift." Again, you know, take them to get something to eat one day, man. Take them to, you know, do something, man, outside of church. And I think I was fortunate to have that kind of relationship with Bishop Brandon Jacobs outside of church because he was one who was concerned about you as a person. And that's how I am the same way as being a pastor right now.
Yeah. Definitely agree with everybody. The pastor and musician relationship is super important, and it's super fun. It's super important for musicians to know what type of situation they walking into and with the pastor that they're going to serve under. So like when I first came to the church I'm at now, I didn't know it at the time, but the pastor, he is experiencing what we would call, instead of church hurt, musician hurt. So basically it's been a rotating door before I got there. So he's like, these musicians just here just to get what they get and leave. So every time a new musician comes in, he's like, okay, well, we'll see how long he lasts. So he's not giving no type of relationship between y'all two. So it's like, for me, I had to understand that, okay, he looking for loyalty. He wants somebody to be loyal to him, and not just come dip, get their check and just leave, and then leave the church for the next big gig that they get. So it took years to really build that good relationship with the band because we had been there. We've been there for years, and then after that, he like, okay, I can trust these guys. He started took us out to dinner a few times, and it went from not saying thank you on Sunday to now saying thank you for the choir and the band now. So it's those simple stuff like that, but he was scared at first because of what he experienced before. But when we showed him something different, then the relationship changed, and we really got to see who he is now. And it's been great ever since, man.
Yes, sir. I wanna pull us back for a second. I know those were some touchy, sensitive topics for some people, but they are necessary, I believe. But I do want to pull us back a little bit. I want to talk about this little mini pivot during this pandemic. Of course, you know, pre-pandemic, musicians were just, I'm gonna walk in church Sunday morning, walk back out. Some gonna walk in for rehearsal in the week, depending on what your contract says, depending on how much you're making, X, Y, and Z, depending on how you fixed it up. You're walking into church twice a week. But now it's like, if you're going to be, well, I'll let you guys go from there. What does serving in the music ministry look like right now? And I know I watched the Apostle Gene Tolbert on a live some time ago, and he was talking about the amount of work he puts into every Sunday stream.
And this is every week. A lot of people don't understand that church has now become a production. There's so many pieces that go into just having one service. And so I want y'all to kind of touch on that and touch on what that looks like from a week-to-week basis. We do want to stand and revere His Eminence as he's walked in the room, His Grace, the Archbishop Bruce Robinson Jr. We thank.
Fellas, I'm fans of all y'all, man.
We thank and praise God for him.
Huge fan.
But whoever wants to pick it up first, if you want to pick it up, Tolbert or someone else. Right now, we're going into what does music ministry look like during this pandemic.
Like you said, every week is a production. It's definitely changed, and it's not for the weak people. Like, you can't now just like, oh, I'm going to play, I'm gonna just learn the song. Nah, it's production, bro. You gotta make sure everything is recorded right, it sounds good. Them live streams got to be mixed. It's causing us to have to learn new things too, which I actually love it. You know what I mean? I learned so much during this pandemic. I'm sad that it was, these circumstances that forced me to learn it, but I'm also grateful that I was able to learn it. And I'm grateful now because when this is over, I have new tools and new, skills that I can go out and do other things with, making these videos in Final Cut and, mixing and doing different things. It helped me out a lot. But now, it also taught us that we have to pay attention, like, to the times of change. A lot of churches weren't prepared for a virtual live stream or virtual church. We were talking about that before we came on. A lot of churches think, they used to hit me up like, hey, how you got your praise team singing like that on Zoom? And I'm like, my praise team is not singing on Zoom. Like, you can't sing on Zoom together. That's never going to work. I've had churches hire me to play for their Zoom service. And I'm like, why? Somebody's trying to sing and they want me to play keys while the person is singing. And I'm just like, nah, this is not going to work. So it's just, it's a great time to really, I think a lot of us learn new skills, and we learn, like Terrence said, I went from working at my church twice a week to now I'm working for my church every day. Like, while we was on here, you like, yo, you look like you talking to us. I'm like, nah, I got the mixing guy on my computer, and I'm talking like he's mixing my service for Sunday. So I'm telling him certain things I want, and then I'm talking to the video guy. So I'm working every day for my church and other churches. I'm literally Sunday mornings. I'm at least 7 churches every Sunday. If it's not virtually, or what I'm saying, like, I'm at 7 churches a week. And that's just, what it is. It's fun. I love this because I love production. So doing this every week is dope, and it's helping build me as a musician and a producer too. Because now, all these new tools. I watch, even, I watch Tim service. I watch Terrence service. Like, everybody's stuff. Like, it's just like, dang. I learn from everybody's church. I watch everything and I pick up everything. So, I tell any young musicians that want to learn, watch people. I watch the Potter's House. I watch Agape in Jersey, different churches that I know do it on higher levels, and I mimic myself after that. Like, this is what I want my church to sound like, so I go after that sound. It's all right to have a blueprint and work your way to that.
Well, me, I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped. I think work for me is turned up. I haven't stopped. I've still been going into my church. I do an afternoon service. I've still been going there. I've even started doing some music and playing for Prophet Brian Carn. Been doing that too. Actually getting ready for a record right now. So I haven't stopped. So I don't know. I and I'm grateful because it's so many cats that I know that's having to sell their gear to live right now.
I mean, literally having to sell keyboards, bass guitars. They got to sell their gear to live because of where we are. And I felt this subject was gonna come up. And when I was kind of thinking about it and praying about it, the whole logic, and I know we ain't supposed to go a whole lot of Bible, but I can't help it. It's what's in it. The whole outlook on David with another spin came to me. When David was born, the Bible talks about it. He was born an anointed king. But then you got to look at everything else other than just kingship that was implanted in him from birth. He didn't just get from birth to the castle as a musician overnight. He didn't just get from birth to the castle as a man of war overnight. So in other words, there was some diversified gifts that was embedded into him leading up to him being on the throne. He was a musician. He didn't just get from birth to playing to Saul just overnight. He had to take that gift. He had to take what was put in him, the diversification, if that's a word, of gifts. Shut up. He had to take that. He had to capitalize on being diverse in music, being diverse in war, and being a man of class all at the same time. So he had to cultivate all of that before it even came to play. So, I mean, all this has done for a lot of us is put us in the place where what was already embedded into us has to come up, because now we got to do something else. It's in us. It's been in us, but we've not been in the place to have use it or put it into practice or put it into play. Now is the best time. And that's what it's done for me. You know, learning more. Like I would be so lazy that I wouldn't edit. I'll send it to him. I wouldn't mix. I'll send it to him or somebody else. But being that now I have to make sure my turnaround is quick. I didn't have a choice. I had to sit down. I had to get my computer. I had to start spending money on plugins. Matter of fact, I got to buy a Melodyne soon. You know, so the investments on things and things of that nature, it's caused some other things to be raised up inside of me. Even and I'm gonna be honest, even a greater hunger for God's word, a greater hunger for prayer, seeking his face more. You know, and it's not necessarily because I'm seeking his face because we're in a pandemic. It's just he's placed us in a position for other things to be birthed inside of us. So, you know, my hunger for a lot of things is greater, as far as for God, for music, you know, even getting back into the realms of producing and production. That's what this has done for me, but I haven't stopped, you know. Man, God has been amazing, man. There's been no lack in this whole 8 months now. God has been good. So, you know, if I can say anything to us and to any young musician, any up and coming artist, like there's no reason why you shouldn't have a single out, because you ain't got nothing but time right now. There's no reason why, you know, you shouldn't be reaching for the things that you wanted to reach for, but then you say you've not had time, because now you ain't got nothing but time.
Well, I guess ain't nobody else serving during the pandemic, so we'll go ahead and move speedily ahead.
I forgot the question. I forgot. So if you can repeat the question from the start.
We're talking about how your shift in serving in the music industry has been from pre-pandemic to right now. So of course, before the pandemic, we were 1 time, 2 times a week, and now a lot of musicians are working actively for their church every day in order to make sure that the music ministry is presenting themselves in a spirit of excellence on Sunday morning. That's what we're talking about.
I think that I got a little something to add. I think that this pandemic has definitely told the truth of musicianship. I think that a lot of people that used to fluff their way through a service, now when you have to send files and you have to be even more detailed and intentional, it shows really that you never really played for the passion of the art you was playing to just get paid. And I think what's happening now is now that we're doing a virtual church and these services are now being produced, greatness is in the attention to detail and not just the ability to play anything. So now what's happening is the cats that pay attention to detail are working now. And them that was just playing because you were the third call are usually those ones who are having to sell their stuff. So I believe that the lesson of this season is if you become a steward of your gift, then you'll work forever. And I think that now the fluffer, the person that didn't pay attention to detail is mad at their church because now the church has to demand quality and you want the church to take subpar work, and we don't have to do that now. So I think that this season has definitely either matured a lot or have left a lot behind. That's just my little spiel.
That was a good point. That was a great point. Because I know some that's actually bringing other guys in right now to play their lives because of what they've had.
Right.
So
pandemic musician playing production and all that is wonderful. But if I could add something kind of off topic to that, if you're not working, this should have been a eye opener for all musicians, not to put all of your eggs in one basket. And that's what the problem is. Let's not even talk about church. 2020 should have taught musicians like I have to have more than one stream of income and put my pride to the side and learn another trade. If you got to go get a job, I don't understand how you want to be broke offline, but show you like everything is all good online. So if you're not working, if you are working, because for decades until now, we probably never thought this stream would ever run dry. And I'm talking about church. Church is nothing but for most their stream of income. And now that we on the downside, you should be. Let me see, this pandemic been going on since what? March, February. So if you ain't figured nothing outside of what you do as far as in the church as a musician, that's your fault. You should say, you know what? Let me start learning how to trade stocks. Let me see how do if I move some money over here. You understand what I'm saying? So I get it. Even if we do go back in and y'all start doing y'all thing in church, what if this happens again? What do you have on the side? What do you have just in case? It should never come down to you, and I hate that that's happened to whatever musician. It has never come down to you saying, I had to sell my gig. Because you've taken all your eggs and you put them in one basket. Never put your eggs in one basket. Make sure you got a stream over here. And the stream over here may not be your main stream, but at least you got something coming in. You got something coming over here. You got something coming over here. And just in case this ain't hitting like I needed, okay, I at least can pull from over here. And my last thing, save your money, musician. Some of y'all perpetrating. Y'all putting all. I ain't gonna let me not.
They spending money on Gucci belts, Tim.
I got my profit. I got my profit roughing on here. I can't. I ain't gonna do it. I'm older now. It's not even necessary. Because you ain't getting paid to post it. You're not getting paid to post it. So save your money. Don't even post nothing. You should have spent all this time and say, hey, I'm grinding. I don't give a crap. Y'all can laugh. And, hey, I seen a musician, and I ain't going to say his name because sometimes when I see him, I'll be like, this dude, he gets on my nerves because I feel like he's like one of them guys that just be hating on the young musicians. Y'all going to know, Gene especially know who I'm talking about when I say this. Ruffin might know too. But I seen him on Instagram, and he took a picture of we talking about this guy has played on some major records, and he works at Whole Foods now. And I'm not talking about him, but I looked at it, I said, I respect him. And he put his outfit on and posted on Instagram as a testament to say, hey, we got to do what we got to do. You understand? Until we don't have to do this no more. But never put yourself in that position where you say, hey, this is all I do. You're going to be broke again, pandemic or no. Churches, regardless of how we look at it, man, this ain't the 90s. Money ain't what it was in church like that anyway. So you want all this big money. You ain't got a degree. You barely graduated from high school, and to piggyback off me, you can't even, and you want 500 because you can play a show? You can play a show, but you want $500. Work on your credit, musicians. Your license been suspended for so long. I can't. Ain't got a house, ain't got a crib, but y'all want to check. It's a lot, man. Musicians got to work on and put some decent clothes on. I'm done.
And some deodorant.
And wash.
Y'all preaching tonight.
Y'all
preaching. New underwear. All that.
New drawers.
Just wash. Just wash.
Fix your license so you can drive to your gig.
And the pastor is not picking up the musician in 2021.
Get a car. You
gotta get a license
Stop
first.
Borrowing. Buy your own drumsticks. Stop borrowing other people's gear. Have your own gear.
Western Union is not a bank account. I'm done. I'm out.
A lot of musicians are really running because these companies about to repossess they gear because they ain't paid their bill on it.
So if I could say this, I think that the musicianship as a mindset has hit a brick wall because the knowledge and the lessons that they need to learn, they won't learn them because they think that their gift is enough. And I think my concern is that what we've learned from time and won't really be remembered because these younger guys, they really don't want longevity. They just want likes and shares. So it's almost like to be a Bond or a Ward or, a Trent Phillips, those type of guys who are monumental to music. They are established. And the main thing is that these guys don't have a stable mind. They still live service to service, girl to girl. And they won't even be fed to know that ain't the way. Okay, cheating might have been cool in the 90s, maybe. But now it's, folks want value and longevity. And we live in such a viral mindset state till if they're going viral, that's success for them. But your lights off. You caught a ride to church to get the viral video. It's just weird. It's weird.
You said something that me and my brother actually are going to do a podcast about. And it seems like it's only in the gospel community, maybe the musician community, where more people are looking to be famous versus having longevity.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Like right now, we living in a world of likes and shares, and not even in the industry. Like there's a guy who I literally sold my time, my talent, and my treasure into to help him get somewhere in his career, and he turned around at the end of the day and wasn't loyal. When he got a production budget, he went to a bunch of other guys versus, hey, I'm gonna look out for the one who sold into me when I wasn't. But I said that to say the gospel music industry now is looking that you're more like we're living in the days of, okay, I want to be on Billboard for a week versus let me get in these churches because I'll continue to be working, so to speak. So it's like we're looking to be famous but not have longevity, because you can be famous, you can get famous quick, and then nobody know you just that quick.
I don't even think longevity is the end game nowadays. I don't even think that's I don't even think that that's even a goal, you know, now for these cats. You know, they don't care about being in it for a long time. They just care about being famous for a long time, and that's where it's going to hit a ceiling every single time. And you know, just like Dr. Tim said, you know, they can play worship and play praise, but they have no relationship with God, though. And I think at some point we all had to grow up and say, gigging ain't successful without God. Because then you start to be, you know, like then you start to grow a sense of, I am bitter, instead of it, you know, starting to build something in you. I think that we as a whole have to just make sure that we have the content for the next set of generation to just hear. Some will listen and some won't. We just got to make sure that we do our job and saying, here is what it takes. You can take it or leave it.
And let me tell y'all something. I see. Terrence gave y'all a very brief description of his resume. He disrespected his own self. Terrence ain't really tell y'all how big he really is, not was, is. But if Terrence really testified on why he has lasted on top as long as he's lasted, it wasn't based on his ability to play. It was about the relationships he built over time. The relationships you build over time will keep you working when you're no longer in style. And that's what these musicians don't understand. Like, we can call out names today, but one day these names, it's going to be a new name. You get what I'm saying? But these young guys, they don't know. They like to burn bridges and go, like Terrence said, they all on social media fussing and fighting. One day you're going to be 35. One day you're going to be 45. And you still going to be talking about you going to be playing. I'm telling y'all, let me tell y'all something. I ain't retiring on no organ. Give crap what y'all talking about. I ain't going to be 65, 70 years old talking about I'm looking for a church to play at. No disrespect to nobody. That's what you want to do, fine. But anybody that has been doing this can say it ain't about this. It ain't about this. Everybody can do this. Most people with any amount of credibility want you beside them. One, probably because you're nice. Not this. You're cool to be around. Two, you ain't telling nobody's business. That's a whole nother conversation. Some stuff you may have seen. They know you ain't gonna run and tell. You know, you talking on, I've seen this. Y'all talk too much. You you understand what I'm saying? So you gotta learn how to build relationships, because one day you won't be in season. You ain't gonna be in season. This ain't what you think is hot now. It ain't gonna be. It might not be hot 10 years from now. I was watching TD Jakes the other day, and I was looking like, dang, Marcus Dawson? And I'm like, all the players in the world, Marcus ain't on keyboard because he the best. But the relationship he's built with TD Jakes, you get what I'm saying? It ain't his job is secure. You can't. I don't care how good you are. You can't get Marcus fired. Jake don't want you because of the relationship they have. They ain't got nothing to do with y'all doing this. Some of y'all been doing this, and y'all been sensations. Ain't working for nobody. You ain't got no credentials or nothing because you're so focused on working this, you charging for everything. I'd be like, man, you think you good? You worth this? Just do a free project and put yourself out there so people can see what you're doing. They don't want to have this conversation. You get what I'm saying? Build the right relationships. Go, T.
And your professionalism.
Let's go back. Wait. Tim, you said something very important that I think, since we're having this dear young musicians talk, we need to talk about it. Because, Tim, you've been around. I'm in this 36 years.
36, man.
I'm in this 36 years. There's a lot of times that I had to see, but I didn't see. There's a lot of times that I had to hear, but I didn't hear. And what happens is, you're right, Tim, the reason why a lot of us have longevity in doing what we do is because of one word. We're trustworthy. We're able to see a mess and a mess coming, and then we put the garbage bag before the mess gets there. Yeah, we clean it up already. Not that we condone, but that we cover, because everybody can't handle seeing the nakedness of men and women of God. We trustworthy, and you're right. The problem is you take a young guy, you put him in the room with a bunch of vets, and the vets feel like they can let their hair down to a degree. And then now we have a whole nother scandal because the young guy, the old vets figured out it's not trustworthy. Or the old let me say this. I ain't talking about the old vet musician. I'm talking about the preacher. I've been in rooms with Bishop T.D. Jakes, and Bishop Jakes had to speak to me because I was in the corner paying attention but not paying attention. I've been in the office with Bishop Paul Sylvester Morton in the corner, and Bishop had to come speak to me because I was in the corner hearing but not hearing. I was in the office with Bishop Charles Blake, sitting at the table eating in the corner. He had to speak to me because I was somewhere shutting up. Like if there's anything we can teach, and that's one of the things you're right, Tim. If you want to have longevity, it ain't all about your skill set, because as cold as you are, there's somebody else that's behind you that's colder. And your gift is not what has you there. It's your ability to be trustworthy.
I add to that, like, not even just trustworthy and not telling, but trustworthy in your business too. Like, trustworthy knowing that you're gonna show up on time, knowing that show up. Period. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes. I mean, and it's sad because I'm not that old. I'm only 31, but like, to see musicians that I've never seen some musicians that don't like rehearsal, that don't show up on time, don't know how to speak, don't know how to handle their own business. You know, it's like, it's sad, and it's like it's not just one or two. It's so many of us that are out here that probably can't even handle their own business. They need somebody to do everything for them. You gotta hire musicians to make sure they're going to be somewhere when they're supposed to be. Like, it's gotten to a point where even sometimes when I do gigs, I tell them that it's an hour earlier, so that they can show up at the time I want them to show up. That's still not the start time, but I just know they're gonna be late if I tell them the start time. So I tell them that it's maybe 2 hours earlier, so they arrive at the on time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the gig is at 7, don't come at 7. That means we start at 7. You you get there at 6:30, 6:45, so you can be set up to start at 7. So it has to be, professionalism. You got to be trustworthy because people don't care how good you play if you're not professional. That professionalism goes a long way. I'm not the best player, but I get a lot of gigs because of my professionalism. There's a lot of people that can outplay me. I'm not the best, you know what I'm saying? But people call me because they know I'm trustworthy. They know I'm going to be on time. They know that I'm going to make sure everything is done right, and they know it's going to be done right. And that's where a lot of musicians are failing, like especially young musicians. Like it's just, and then they talk and stuff happens. Like Tim said, they talk about everything. You can't tell your friend everything you saw. And then everything when bad things happen, like I've seen musicians that play at churches and the praise team might have had a bad moment. Don't post that on your social media. That's where you play at. You know what I'm saying? That's not good on you. So now you can't play at the church no more. Or you getting fired, or you getting, or the church don't look at you the same because you think everything is funny, and it's like, nah, you look like a clown because you play there.
I agree with everything he just said, but man, like everybody said, a lot of the young musicians now lack integrity, man, for real. And I think another issue is now nobody's holding these young musicians accountable. Everybody's scared to say something to them. When I grew up, you did something wrong, I'm gonna tell you what you did wrong. I'm gonna tell you how to fix it. That's what the generation before me was doing for me, so I could get it right when I do get somewhere. But a lot of these guys, they're being pacified. They parents not even teaching them right from wrong. So when you are calling these young guys on the gig and they show up late or whatever, and long as he play the song okay to get by, it's cool. Nah, you got to pull these guys to the side and tell them, hey, it ain't just about playing good, and you need to be on time and stuff. A lot of people not mentoring people, so a lot of these OGs, you got to reach back and show these young guys the way, because a lot of people scared to do it now. I don't know why, but they scared. Tell these guys they suck. Tell they guys they not professional. So they need it for real, man.
Bro, I think for me, I think that if I ever don't help a younger guy, it's because they've already shown that they're not even willing to be like teachable. Now these younger cats got very, very slick mouths, and I got a very quick hand. And I think for me that's the fight. You know what I mean? When I moved from South Carolina to Atlanta, my first church job was in a room with James Barrett on drums, Daryl Freeman on bass, Kevin Bond on keys. And I gave them all I had in the first 10 seconds. I never forget this. Daryl Freeman stopped the song and said, hey, save something for later. It crushed me. But ever since then, I've been on session after session. I've had to give work. So I think, and when I've asked them, I said, hey, man, like, y'all need to help these guys. Everybody's first response is, they don't want help, man. They just want to be dope. And again, they got a fast mouth and I got a quick hand. So I just try to, you know what I mean? I only speak when they ask me, you know what I mean? Until then, hey, man, you got it, dog.
I wanna.
Go ahead.
No, who was that?
What I'm finding is a lot of the younger guys, they want you to tell them that they're doing good, but don't want to hear that they're actually messing up. When you tell them they're messing up, they think that you hating on them or you challenging their manhood. So the day we dealing with right now is a totally different. It's a different dynamic, and I'm not saying this there's a lot of little. Well, I'll say this: there's a lot of little soft guys. This boy here, man.
Can I call them what they is?
No, you can't. They soft. They some little punks. They some little scoots. You know, because I would rather you tell me when I'm screwing up versus me getting out there screwing up, everybody telling me I'm good, but then in the back room they laughing their butt off. Because it happens. And the young guys, they don't understand it, they don't see it. But it happens. I had to tell a young boy the other day. I said, hey man, he said, you it's a couple of you killing yourself on a couple of ends.
Dead.
One was hygiene.
You stink.
One was always coming up high. One was telling people you're going to show up and you don't. Well, man, no. If they're paying you, they don't have to understand that you didn't have a right. It wasn't their responsibility to pick you up. You get an Uber everywhere else.
Whose phone is that making all that snap apart?
Yikes. Anybody else before we move on? Hearts and minds cleared. And there it is.
That sometimes the integrity piece is kind of rough for me. And to every young musician, I don't want to be a hypocrite, okay? Because I was once you. Okay. Let me tell you that right now. I'm top 5 worst all time. Okay. But let me tell you what I did. The older I got, I subjected myself to wise counsel. And so what you receive tonight is wise counsel. What I mean by wise counsel is when people tell you the way, don't close your ears to truth because you think you know the way. You understand what I'm saying? So if a person say, I've been doing this for 36 years and you only been doing this for 36 months, I think you should listen to the person that's been doing it. You understand? So I ain't telling you, you know, at the end of the road, all that comes to an end, and it's not a good ending. You know, if you out here doing all this bad stuff, and you know, I'm trying not to say the bad stuff, but if y'all can just hear me through the spirit, you know, doing that and doing this and doing that, that is no good. And at the end, you're gonna find yourself either fired. You're gonna find yourself fired. Your name ain't gonna be good, and you're gonna spend a lifetime. This is real talk. You're gonna be you're gonna spend a lifetime trying to build your name and your credibility, where you can just listen to someone and say, "I've done that and been there." Don't do that. Yeah, I used to hit that when I was younger, but I'm gonna tell you, this is the end result to that. Go ahead and do it. You want to go get you some, go get you some. But I'm telling you, this is how this ends. So that's what I'm saying by the wise counsel. I'm not saying you shouldn't have the want to do it, but if you do, you get what I'm saying? Because I think sometimes our advice comes from just the now, and we don't go back and say, "Hey, man, I was once you." You understand what I'm saying? So even though I was you, but I'm telling you where I'm at now, and this is what got me to this place now. But I ain't judging you, little young fella, because I know they be looking good, but don't hit that tonight. I'm telling. She gonna put you on Instagram. I'm telling you right now. So you don't need that. Your pastor is watching your stories. He is watching everything you do. So you wanna be integral for a whole lot of reasons. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, since you're there, I've been in situations. Since you're there, I've been in situations where the pastor knows that the shepherd knows the sheep, and the shepherd would say, "Now listen, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm gonna tell you that one over there. Don't do it. That one over there, don't do it. I'm going to tell y'all what my pastor tells me. If the Holy Ghost can't keep you, and this is Bishop, His Grace, Marvin Lewis Sapp. If the Holy Ghost can't keep you, your money ought to. Because some of us make too much money to make dumb decisions.
Man, if I could just add this, man. One thing I want to say to young musicians as well, man, is don't take everything so personal. And what I mean by that is, man, I remember first playing, man, and man, one day I got so humbled because I got replaced on the organ mid-song. And man, you don't know how humbling that is to get replaced on the organ mid-song because you're not playing the song right. And so I, in the conversation after that, I asked the guy, you know, what happened? And here's the lesson, man. The guy told me that I was playing the song my way, but not the way it was supposed to be played. Okay, I was playing my rendition of the song, but I was not playing the song. Guess what I did, man? I didn't take that, get personal, get mad, upset. Guess what I did? I went and learned how to play the song. And I want to tell somebody, some young musician today, don't take stuff so personal. If somebody is coming to you say, hey, man, you know, you need to learn this, you need to learn that. They're trying to help you because they don't want you out here looking stupid. They don't want you out here looking crazy. And you don't want to be like me. You don't want to be the one that get replaced because there's somebody out there who knows how to play the song, not the rendition of your song, the actual song at hand. So, man, just like everybody else has said, man, be integral, be professional, and all of that type of stuff.
I got to piggyback off that. Hey, and some of you OGs out here, some of y'all too got doggone mean too. I'm trying not to say what I want to say. Some of you old niggas is mean. Y'all try to be bullies and you call yourself gatekeepers because you try to act like, because some of y'all still trying to be out here. You look like old rappers trying to come back out. I see your old Instagram, you big jean wearing, you Carl Kanai, you FUBU 05 jersey, Air Force, graffiti, Air Force. Some of y'all, I know some of y'all. See, I'm in between the young and the old, and I know both conversations. Some of y'all are mad because y'all don't live in, y'all didn't get this opportunity of this era, and you feel like you haven't been fulfilled in your career, and so you want to come down on some of the young guys. I see you do. You know, and that's why some of these young guys can't respect your old behind. So you got to come under subjection too. Be kind. You got to learn how to be. You don't gatekeep nothing. Some of y'all talking about y'all gatekeepers of a city. You should be the one to say, hey, man, I didn't make it. But let me show you the game so you can be that person that make it for all of us. We all on the same team, you old stupid. What's the matter with you? Put me on. I don't give a crap. Put me on Instagram. What's the matter with you? You 55. How are you like this? Why do I just see? Do you understand what I'm saying? And so, I'm not disrespecting nobody at all, and I promise you, I ain't calling nobody's name out. But at the end of the day, bro, we got to all work together because it's not just the young; it's some of you old people too. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, let's all stand for the benediction. Yikes. Hey, man. He said, "You playing? We can't hear you." He said, "You ain't gatekeeping nothing." I mean,
Yeah, you get tired of that. You tall T, Foot Locker wearing T-shirt. You what it? Because then you try to. I feel like I'm in between because I get both sides, but that's like some of y'all. I see you. You really trying to stop him because you mad that they don't want to sit under you because they hot. That ain't your job. They don't want to. If they don't want to be involved with you, don't be the hater. I hear people stopping folk on gigs. I done heard them conversations before, and these young guys ain't done nothing to none of you OGs out there. You know what some of you OGs will say something to me. We already know what it is, okay? So stop playing. And so we should all be on the same team. T Ruff and know how this game go. Okay. If T Ruff don't understand, if T Ruff hit me right now, tell him, boom, that's too much. Don't even do that. You shouldn't even make that move. Just because I've been watching T Ruff. You know how long I've been watching T Ruff? Yes, sir. Because I know he not trying to harm me. I understand. You got to be able to discern the spirit too. I know musicians ain't spiritual, but you got to understand and discern the spirit on how you telling me. And my last thing, and I promise you I'm done. Never be so quick or never be major in critique and minor in celebration, OG. Whoa. You hear that, OG? You love to critique the little nigga. You love to critique the little musician, but you minor in celebration. Just like Gene said it earlier. Gene, tell the man he did a good job. Support they records they putting out. It's a whole nother ball game now. This ain't your game. This ain't your league right now. You think Shaq is proud of LeBron. Reggie Miller is proud of. You see what I'm saying? They want to see these guys succeed, but they're gonna give advice. Hey man, when I was a big man, this is a big man's game, Dwight Howard. Or you understand what I'm saying? And so it's got to be a passing. I ain't saying retire. You just got to find your place in the next level of your life. Stop trying to be that guy. No, be that guy in a whole different way, OG. And then you won't be so frustrated with this next generation that you so frustrated with. Why are you trying to let him play the organ, man? Let him play the drums. Let him play the bass. You've been doing this. Be the coach. Be the Kevin Bond that's sitting in the back, looking around. Don't be on Instagram with yellow suits on and Vans. Okay, I'm done.
Hey man, the only person who has had a straight face this whole time Tim was talking was BJ. BJ ain't cracking a smile.
Yo.
Hey, but it's funny, but Tim, you're absolutely right. And I'll be transparent to say I'll be the first OGs to come down on the Joker, but I do my best to let them know when they doing good too. You know, because just like it meant the world, and I'm gonna be honest with you, as old as I am, it still makes me feel some type of way when something I've done, I get Kevin Bond, Mike Burrell, Mark Taylor, David Blakely, some of them guys like that to be like, nephew, hey man, I'm proud of you. It makes me feel a sense of accomplishment. It makes me feel great that something I've done, they're actually paying attention. So that same thing I try to do with the younger guys, because man, it's some knockers that's coming up. Only thing we want them to do is learn how to be balanced. That's it, you know. But it was funny to the mug though, Tim. But you're absolutely right, bro.
I want to talk about, and yeah, we've been through so much already. But I want to talk about a lot of. I think just about everyone on here has like real resumes, and I think in our world we get so spiritual that we forget um, that there is a whole world to play in outside of church. But I think there is not even. I think there's definitely there are skill levels far past actually playing your instrument that gets you in those doors. And I think every single one of you on here not only is either mastering or on the way to mastering, but is definitely passing on those same skill levels to the next generation. That's what I want to talk about right now. What does it take to like if I want to talk to the church, the talented church musician that's a killer, amazing guy, can play, Our Lady can play, but they want to go on the road, they want to travel, they want to get paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you go from being that local sensation as they've been so named, being someone that um, finally has a resume to match their skill level?
I think that's a
It's
loaded.
like you was on Horizon, Doc. You need to say that again.
What happened?
It sounds like you with Boost Mobile.
Oh, it wasn't me. It was one of y'all that. Matter of fact, while you telling jokes, it was you. I muted you, sir. Yeah, yeah. But come on back.
Now, I mean, if we want to do this roasting thing, I got time for that tonight too.
I just
Which Mr. Rogers college shirt. Anyway, I think that I think that it's different for different genres, though. I think in order to be a successful gospel player, it's different from being a successful secular player because they expect two different things. So I think that you got to be just a little bit more. You got to make it plain, preaching.
Well, let's go secular because I believe that's where a lot of this next generation is trying to tap into, kind of that market that a Gene Tobler just destroys, right? All over the place with this person, that person, X, Y, and Z. Everybody kind of aspires to that place while killing the local church scene. So what does that transition look like? Was that more clear? Did everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
I think
I'm sorry.
I can wait.
I was my fault. I was saying I think it's more of a patience thing. I remember being younger, and just wanting to be on the road and then seeing it. And I remember I was a part of a gospel group, and I would see like that. We were a part of a company called MBK, and they always had showcases. And I never understood why they hired another band to play for the R&B artists and just had us play for the gospel artists. So I went to the head of the company and I kept saying, "Yo, man, why you don't give us a chance to play, man? Why you don't give us a chance to play?" And he said, "Well, they told me y'all wasn't ready." I was like, "Man, I'm ready. I could do it. I'm telling you." And he was like, "I don't know." What ended up happening was the guy who MDs for the band that played for the secular artist, his brother was getting married, and they had a big show coming up. And it happened to be the BET Awards 2010. And he said, "Yo, Gene, remember you said you was ready? Now is your chance to show me you ready. Y'all got a gig in LA. My first R&B gig was the 2010 BET Awards. I'll never forget. I was nervous as heck. Never played an R&B gig in my life. Never, ever touched a stage in my life. And for my first R&B gig to be the BET Awards, I was excited and nervous at the same time. But I did it with my brothers. So I was just like, yo, this is our chance to prove ourselves. We're going to play one song,
and we're gonna have to kill this joint, bro, because we want to do this. And we did it. He saw us, how professional we were about it. And from there, he went and he made us the band for everything. So we started doing all the showcases. And then later on, so when I started playing for 50 Cent and, getting calls to do different people, like Demi Lovato. And it's just because of timing, professionalism, people knowing. Because it's everybody, the truth is, like I tell a lot of my friends, we're all not going to play on that stage. It's not meant for all of us, I have a friend who's a talented musician who we used to talk about this all the time. And I told him one day he was going through something. He started selling his equipment and he started going in. And I said, yo, bro, you ever thought that God don't want you on that stage? Because like you're really like church is really where you belong. Like he needs you at church. He needs you to produce that gospel record. He needs you there. Like everybody's not meant to be on stage playing for hip hop artists, R&B artists. Truth be told, I've seen so much on the road that a lot of people, a lot of church musicians wouldn't even be able to handle it going into that. You know what I mean? Like these are real gangsters a lot of times. These are real, you can't go in the room and be like, Doc, what's up, Doc? How you doing, Doc? They're gonna look at you like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? You gotta be ready for that stuff. And that's even with putting people on gigs. Like I'm very big on how I know you interact with people, because I can't put you in the room with 50 Cent knowing you're gonna go in there and be like, Doc, what's up, Doc? Hey, Doc. He gonna look at you like, get this nigga out, who? You know what I mean? So it's timing for me, professionalism, and just being patient. And I think that like another example I have, my brother, little DJ. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying it. His name is Derek, and he's probably one of the most talented. Tim know him. He probably one of the most talented dudes out here, production wise, drumming wise, a live arrangement show on the show. He's killing. But some years ago, he was ready to quit music because he wasn't where he wanted to be. But now he gets calls back to back for everything. And I told him, I said, yo, bro, at that time you wanted it, but you wasn't equipped to do it, because all of the skills that you have now, you didn't have back then. You know what I'm saying? So it's like God prepared you to get to that point. And people say, oh, God, don't say God because it's a secular gig. Man, I believe God puts us all in position to do different things. You know what I mean? Terrence has been killing 36 years in the music industry. And what he does, I probably can't do. And what I do, he probably don't. Not saying that we can't do it, but that's not what we were ordained to do. You know what I'm saying? Tim can get on the keyboard and make you cry, but he probably wouldn't want to play on a hip hop show or R&B show. He probably gonna be like, man, I ain't doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all about.
Hey, can I testify real quick, Dave? I gotta testify. So before I moved to New York, man, I was halfway saved. Then when I got to New York, it was just like I was all downhill. Man, I started playing secular music, everything, right? And I'm glad Gene brought that point up. So maybe a couple months in, I got connected to a guy. His name, I call him the Great Stanley Brown. And he put me on a gig where it was way out of what I was used to, right? And so here come rehearsal. And in my mind, it don't matter. I could play church because, church musicians, we think we the all in all. No matter what, we can do this, we can do that. We ain't got to learn how to play music. We ain't got to read no scores. And I have my piano and my strings, and I'm playing a hip hop gig. And they like, bro, what you think this? We ain't about to worship? And I was like, and I felt the way. I'm like, what is you talking about? And I'm playing all these. I got my solo strings, And I'm like, I'm about to take the, and they like, bro, no, that's it. And I didn't make, no, you know what? They taught me because they didn't want to embarrass me. And I made it through. And they said, bro, you got to play this sound. Because Gina tell you, in that arena, you got to know sounds. You can't just have a background string and some bells and talking about you ready to do hip hop BET awards. You got to learn how to program. You know what I'm saying? And so when I realized, I said, you know what? This is not necessarily my lane. and I'm not too proud to say I wasn't able to do it. Now, if I take time to learn this particular, because it's a skill, Gene can, like I said about Terrence, don't let Gene fool y'all. Okay, he's very skillful, and to play, to do what he does in that arena takes a whole lot of skill. It ain't just this, boom, 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 and I'm cold. Matter of fact, I don't even know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even know a time where you think you're gonna get your little lick in. Like it's what's the word I want to use? It's a mature, you gotta have a level of maturity where it says, man, I gotta play these same 4 chords the whole song. And that's how I felt. I'm like, I'm ready to stretch out. So it's a discipline. That's the word I want to use. And so that's why I was like, man, Gene is right. I couldn't do hip hop. Because I'm glad I'm trying to worship. I'm trying to take the people in. And so I totally agree. Jane, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just didn't want to miss my testimony. But keep on going, Jane.
Nah, you good, bro. But like, I was really done. Like he said, it's just, it's a skill, and it's learning discipline. Like one of the people that I watch all the time and I listen to is Travis Sales. Travis Sales is probably one of the most skillful musicians, but can dumb his playing all the way down to play a show, and you don't hear none of that. It's just like he knows how to play parts, and it's like I hear dudes like, "Yo, man, it's boring." It's this. I always use Travis as an example. Like, yo, Trav could do it. Trav is amazing. He could play with the best of them, but he could dumb down and do a whole show, you know. And that's it. Tim front. Tim though, I heard Tim play a show. He was good. He's just not comfortable in it. But yeah, man, I just think that it's all about the timing of everything. That's pretty much where I'm at with it. Timing and being ready. Always make sure you're ready too. Don't take that call if you're not ready, because that call, it leaves that first impression. That first impression is going to be the lasting impression that they have you, and you might not get that call again.
Man,
very true. I agree with Gene. With it, you definitely have to be ready for where you're trying to go. Know where you want to go first, and then prepare yourself to get to that point. Don't force it, because when you force it, it's not going to be right. I never, when I was coming up, I never wanted to really go on tour or stuff, but I always wanted to do stuff maybe here and there behind the scenes. So when I did get to the point where I started doing stuff, a little bit of stuff secular away from gospel, I did a gig with Little Duval last year, earlier this year, and I was ready to do it. And when you do go on the road, these young guys don't know, they gonna see stuff that they never even saw before. Some of them going on the road, y'all virgins. You ain't never seen these type of women before backstage or whatever. You ain't never seen weed being smoked in front of your face. You in the room, and when they pass you the weed, you don't even know if you gonna take it or not. Or you do take it, and you got into something that you don't even know. So now your antics are weighing your beliefs, and you becoming somebody that you don't even know who you are from no more. So you definitely have to be ready. You got to be patient and wait your time. It's not gonna happen overnight, but yeah, man.
Like, man, I felt the pressure one time and just started smoking. But I'm gonna tell you though, I didn't inhale, so I don't know if that count or not. I was young, man. Y'all trying to judge me, man.
I mean, I tried to
Hey.
smoke one time. I didn't even know how to do it. I was like, and I'm just blowing smoke. They like, nigga, you ain't smoking. You just blowing out smoke. I'm like, oh.
Man, it's funny because when I did the show with Lil Duval, we was backstage and they were smoking or whatever. Everybody in the room was smoking, but I've never been the kind. I am who I am. I'm gonna be me no matter where I am. So one of the band members went to pass me the blunt, and Duval said, "Oh nah, he don't smoke." I can tell he don't smoke. I said, "Yeah, you're right. I don't even smoke like that. I'll take a little sip of drink, but I ain't smoking now." So they already knew. So a lot of these cats, you be trying to be somebody you not in the room, and they already know you. They already know you ain't like that. They know you sweet from the jump, and you trying to play like you somebody you ain't, and you really gonna make yourself look like a fool.
Man, if I could jump in, man, I want to piggyback on something that Tim said. Man, it's okay to know your lane. Man, if I could say that again, it is okay to know and be comfortable in your lane. I've never been a secular musician, and guess what? I've never aspired to be a secular musician. I am a church musician at heart. Like, that's what I do. Like, if you set me in a church setting, I'm gonna be good. I'm not even trying to do nothing that I know I can't do or I can't put my mind to do. So I really thank God for what Tim just said, man, because I think it's a lot of musicians who really want something that they're going to find out they really can't do. And you don't want to get yourself in a position, man. And I'm reminded of a guy who I knew who tried to get on. Y'all remember when I think Diddy was doing the making of the bands and all of that type of stuff. And I know a guy who tried to, get on that and stuff like that. And man, he went in there, man, trying to like show the world, man, like what he was doing and showing his ability. And man, they cut him because they said he was doing too much. You get what I'm saying? So like y'all was saying, the secular music don't even really call for the things that we think it calls for. You get what I'm saying? They want you to play the music the way it is, not adding your stuff on, your bells and whistles on top of it. But what you hear on CD, that's what they want you to play. You get what I'm saying? So don't get in over your head, man. Be comfortable in your lane and do what you know how to do.
And drummers, I think drummers are they tell on themselves the fastest in rehearsal when you're doing a secular gig, because it's easier for a church drummer to come into a little secular R&B gig playing like they play in church, but you got to know patterns. So if you want to get into something beyond church, really study patterns, man, because they gonna want it, just like JR said, they gonna want it the exact way the record is. So you're gonna have to be disciplined enough to play this whole song the same way the pattern is on the record. So discipline, patience. Don't look for the show to be about you, because if they don't call the artist name, you never gonna reach the stage anyway. So know what you there for, man.
Right, let me hop on that. For drummers, man, and you got to learn how to not only play drums, you got to learn how to play pads, triggers. You get what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. So, man, it's a whole different ball game. You ain't just playing those little drum sets at church no more, man. It's a whole production, man. You get what I'm saying? So you got to know what you want, man.
I think this is a safe place to go ahead and start wrapping up. This has been amazing. I don't know if you felt really good about this tonight. I want to end here by giving everybody a chance to just, whatever your one hitter advice would be to the young musician. Of course, this was I want to say this again and thank the illustrious His Grace, His Excellency Terrence Ruffin for letting us borrow his slogan tonight. He has been talking about this for a very
I ain't even
long.
know.
You see the
Anybody
shirt?
tell me.
You see the you see the shirt. You see, he's been talking about this for a very, very, very long time. And so I want to personally thank you again for letting us borrow that slogan tonight, dear young musicians. And since this is to the young musicians, I want to give everyone just a moment to go ahead and say your piece, but really just help out. I think this really has been a whole helping segment in its totality. But I want to give you one more chance to go ahead and get something off that will help somebody else.
Man, I'll go so I can let the OGs handle it, man, at the end. But man, I want to piggyback on the point that was made earlier. Man, for those of us who are kind of, on the back end of this music thing, man, it's okay to not only train the ones that are behind us, but it is also okay, as I think Brother Tim has said, it's okay to push them as well. It's okay to encourage them to go forward. If I don't know, a lot of people know Christian Bishop. He's my protege. He's my successor, and he's the one that has come behind me at New Zion Temple with Bishop Brandon Jacobs. And man, let me tell you something. I knew that brother was a monster the day he stepped foot in that church. And man, I'm telling you, from day one, that dude has embarrassed me. He has embarrassed me on plenty of occasions, man. That dude, I mean, he was 20, 21 years old, and he is playing rings around, man, cats who've been doing this thing a long time. You get what I'm saying? But if I was not confident in who I was as a person, not just as a musician, I would have let my pride, and all of that type of stuff keep me from where I knew he needed to be. So guess what I did, man? Knowing what I saw in him and knowing the greatness that was on his life, man, I didn't stand in his way. I said, look, man, I'm gonna train you. I'm gonna let you know how Bishop is and all of that type of stuff. And man, look where he is now, man. The dude is killing the game. He has to be probably, in my personal standing, he is top 3 church organist in the whole world right now. You get what I'm saying? So if I would have tried to stand in his way, I could have tried to do all I can to hinder his progress. But listen, man, it's okay to push the younger generation, man. Let them do what they got to do, man. And guess what? If you are confident in yourself, God is going to allow you to do some things that he's going to call you to do. I never thought in the world, as much as I love music and as much as I love playing organ in church, I never thought that God would call me to be a pastor. But you get what I'm saying? You got to be confident in yourself, and you got to know your calling. You got to know what God wants you to do and not get stuck in your yesteryear, or as Tim say, man, you trying to hold on to old dreams and old visions and all of that type of stuff. You can't do that, man. Go where God wants you to go and help bring somebody else along the way to experience the same level of favor that you once did back in the day. So, man, push the younger musicians. Let them know, man, it's their time now, and we're here to do all we can to help them go forward.
I need to go next, so we let the OGs go last, right?
Except we can't see.
I don't know why this thing. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I'll just say to the young musicians, man, be patient, be open, listen to the guys that came before you, man. They here to help you. Don't embrace criticism. That's what's really gonna help you. To the drummers, when you learn the songs, listen to more than just your instrument. The way you play, you gotta listen. You gotta listen to the other things that's going on in the song. That way your placement is right, your timing is right. Listen to what the organ is doing. Listen to what the bass is doing. Lock with the bass. But man, listen to these OGs, listen to these guys that's been where you trying to go, and don't take what they say for granted, and don't take it to heart and be emotional about it and be mad when they tell you you're not doing something right. That's the only way you're gonna learn, is to listen to these guys that's done it before. Everything you've doing probably been done in some way before. So respect that. Be patient, wait your time, work on your craft, and yeah, man, just do it, man.
Terrence got to go last because that's the apostle of the house. What I'm gonna say probably won't even match what y'all saying, but I felt led to say it. Young musicians, whatever it is, try to get it out your system at a young age. I want y'all to hear what I'm saying. You don't want to be 35, 45, 55 doing stuff that you know that's outside of the will of God. And it stagnates your growth, because you don't want to be that legend that could have made it, but you didn't make it because of you, not because of the things that you do. Yeah, I know I'm speaking directly to a young person that's probably watching. Get control of your flesh. Because this is I wish somebody my age would have told me this when I was younger. So I ain't gonna say it's gonna happen tonight. I ain't gonna say get on your knees and start praying. No, you're gonna have those desires. But try your best to get it out your system at an early age, so you can live that good life that you really want to live, and be the best, so people want to use you. You get what I'm saying? And get your credit together. Buy stock. And I totally believe in divine timing. Hold on. That's too deep. I believe everybody's gonna get a turn. Okay? Prepare yourself for your turn when it comes, because everybody gets a time. Everybody gets a turn. I'm gonna be honest with you. Gene, what a lot of people don't know, Gene, is Gene still on here? I met Gene in 2016. And I moved to New York in 2015. And I was playing at a service. This is honest God truth. I was playing at a service, and it was one of those moments. And I'm doing whatever I do. And Junior said, "Man, where you from?" I said, "Bro, I'm from Ohio. I just moved up from Ohio." He was like, "Wow, we got to connect." He said, "I want you to come to this thing called Campfire." I was like, "What's that?" He said, "My cousin, Rich Talbert, does this this worship setting, but they do it like in different different rooms. This one we're gonna do it like at a club." I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna come through." He introduced me to Rich Talbert. We sit in the room, and this song "Miracle Worker" comes up in the room. We don't know. I don't know nothing about, and so he's like, "Tim, I want you to play the session." I'm like, what? Let me tell you something. I'm in my 30s. So that's what I'm saying. It might not happen right now. And so the time moving past, me and Rich Talbot builds this connection. And now I look at 36 years old. I was, and I'm not saying this out of bragging or anything. I would have never thought I would have had a number one song at one time, Never Be Defeated, to be on the radio that I produce. You understand what I'm saying? And so you never know, and that's why I'm mentioning this. If I would have looked at Gene and said, let's skip him. I'm from Ohio. I built a relationship with Gene. He said, "Tim, I want you to do this." He could have easily said, "Hey, man, this is my cousin. I'm a Talbert." He said, "No." And history, whatever happened, this is what happened. And, and so I believe everybody gets a turn. I believe everybody gets a time. but you got to be ready for your turn. And you don't want to allow your flesh, you don't want to allow, things that that's not right, that stop you from your turn. Because I believe you can miss a season. If any musician on here tonight will be totally honest, that window of opportunity where it's that time for you to do what you got to do, it don't stay open for that long. You might think you okay because you're still playing, but you missed your shot because of you. Something you may have said, something that you may have put on social media, somebody that might have wanted to use you. It's a lot of opportunities you gonna get won't come from your friends. It's gonna come from people that ain't never met you. Those that support you will be strangers. So you thinking like, they're gonna put no. It's people that don't know you that's gonna use you. And so, like I said before, I promise you, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I'm not trying to say I'm saved. I'm not trying to say I'm sanctified. All that good stuff that we try to do because we lied. I'm not that guy. But what I'm saying is, to the young musician, I just want you to just try your best. Just try your best to build that character because you're gonna fall when you're 30. But I don't want that. You don't want to be a repeat offender. And everybody know you for this. Because if you've known for that, they say, I can't use him. He gonna do this. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying my best to say what I want to say. I hope y'all receiving what I'm saying, young musician. And that's all I'm saying. And like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, man. Have other streams. Want to be married. We ain't gotta. I get it. We up front. And it's easy for us. I ain't married. Listen. We can get on dating and going through the changes of relationships, because some of us ain't really eligible to be in relationships, musicians. We only get women, girls because we can play. When you look at us, we ain't got no game, Our conversation is no good, and people come after us because they can see us, and people they like some women like that. They like, oh, he always up front. That's why the preachers and everybody, y'all know how this thing go. And so that's all I want to say, man. I could say a whole lot more, but just remember I said that. I want you to just think 15 years from now, when you in your season, because you're gonna have a season, it's gonna be a time. Just remember, Tim said, hey man, I'm like, damn, I'm glad. You can be like, man, I'm glad I didn't knock that down that night, because I probably wouldn't be playing for the Chandler Moore or Jonathan Nelson probably would have never called me if I went and smoked with my friends and I'm supposed to be at rehearsal. Y'all get what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna say you're not gonna do that. But you just gotta try. Just try. It's rough. It is tough. It's tough being a musician. It ain't easy. I don't give a crap what y'all preachers is talking about. I don't give a crap what you lay members sitting in the pews talking about. It is not easy, especially when you one of the most sought after. I see it be some young boys out here that's 15, 16, can really play, and they playing on a major level. And I'm like, dang, I already know that pressure that's gonna come with that, because that was me. I know what it's like being 17, 18. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when you raised in a single mother home and you ain't got no father to tell you, hey, son, you get what I'm saying? Try to get somebody, and watch this. Young musicians, you ain't got to try to be common with the OGs. Forget all that. You don't even try to act like y'all ain't on the same level. I go in some rooms where I might be socially more known than this guy, but when I'm in his presence, I reverence who he is, and I fall underneath because of what I'm like. He ain't on social media. I ain't worried about that, but I know you. You get what I'm saying? You want to have that big. Don't try to be this is my big brother. Skip all that. Hey man, I need you to hold me down. You understand? Get with somebody that ain't gonna expose you. They say, bruh, I need some help. It's tough. I'd have made a mistake. What can you do? What shall I do to get myself out of this? Because I don't want to be in this position. You get what I'm saying? So, man, I appreciate you for allowing me again. This is our second time around. You, my brother, always, all you guys, I respect all y'all. And Dr. Ruffin.
Thank you, first presider. Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you to Brother Elisha. Thank you, because this is a platform that's definitely needed for many of us to function and to share not just spiritual principles, but literally life principles that we had to learn the hard way that many get them for free. The challenge now is to listen to everything that's been given and to walk it out. You've gotten everything. I don't think there's nothing we didn't touch tonight other than making sure as a musician you got you some health care. I think that might be the only thing we didn't cover tonight. The world we're living in right now, any of us can get sick like tonight, and then, God forbid something happened, we have to do cash apps and GoFundMe accounts. No, stop wearing your money and buying Jordans and take a pair of Jordans a month, maybe off every other month, to make sure that you got a decent health insurance situation going on. Some decent life insurance, especially for those of us who are fathers. We need to have something for our children in the wake of, God forbids, he calls us home. That's just the extra stuff. Listen, Tim has said some incredible things. Literally, again, came out of his life. These are all things that we've had to live for some 30 to 40 years. We had to live it. We had to go through it. We had to get sat down while we didn't understand it. We had to get rebuked. We didn't understand it. We had to be put in some situations that to others would be compromising, but because we are born natural leaders and not followers, we're able to navigate, and not just navigate ourselves, but help navigate you. The only thing I would love to say to any young musician coming up, number one, the best way to be discovered is to be found working and faithful. People say to me all the time, well, how did you get to play for this person or that person? I was at church. I was faithful to the call. I was in my place when I was supposed to be there, whether I felt like it or not. And whether I felt like it or not, I gave it everything I had. That's the way to be discovered. David was discovered being his natural self when his brothers was acting like some punks. That's how he was discovered. And he was discovered doing stuff that he would regularly do. Be kind to his brothers, bring them some lunch. And then having to bring him some lunch, had to stand up and be a warrior. That's how he was discovered. He was discovered doing everything that he would normally do. The next thing I would tell you is Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 17, I think it's 17:1. The Bible says in the A clause of that, it says, learn to do well. You got to take time to be a student. I'm 40 years old. I'm still a student. I can listen at Tim with his violin and his strings and his piano blaze a spot. I'm a student because he got that. That's his thing. I'm a student of watching RJ having to come from Chicago
to play for Bishop Brandon Jacobs because one preacher didn't show up and they had to call him in to come hurry up and run to St. Louis and play for Bishop Jacobs, and how he navigated and controlled that whole setting. I'm a student. I've heard of Mike and his accomplishments and how he can literally be a lock and key. I'm a student. So I think I forgot who it was, but an old writer said when you cease to learn, you cease to live. Because every day I learn every day how to be a better father to my children. Every day I learn how to be a better brother, a better mentor, a better mentee to people. Every day I don't stop. An old mother can teach me something on piano because she might have this old school chord that I don't have, even though I feel like I might be able to play a little bit more modern than her. Her chords reach the people that she plays to. Okay, well, let me be a student. Let me find out what her setting is on the organ. Instead of laughing, let me figure out what she's doing because the old preacher told me, you learn how to play hymns, you keep a consistent check. That's what old preacher told me. So y'all never, if I can say anything to us, never stop learning. My last thing. In about 1998, my dad preached a message that says God wants dead people. And the whole backdrop of that text was when Lazarus had died, he was dead to everything. He was dead to feelings. He was dead to emotions. He was dead to it all, which placed him in an amazing position. Since he was dead to it all, it placed him in a position to be able to hear the voice of God. And the voice of Jesus's voice didn't just speak to his body. It penetrated to his soul. He was numb to everything else. So at this time in the season, become numb to be able to hear everything that God is speaking to you in the season. Because as long as your feelings are in the way, as long as any little thing can vex you, can get you out of character, can cause you to act irate, you are not numb, and you can't silence all of that to hear the voice of God. Be numb to it. Be numb. There's a lot of things in church that I'm just numb to. I don't even let it bother me anymore. Because we all know every church got its thing. When you figure out what that thing is, you become numb to it and you're able to continue to function. Become numb. Because when you become numb, you're able to not just hear the voice of God, but you're able to move in his spirit. You're able to navigate spiritually, not with feeling. You're not moved by your feelings. You're not moved by your own thoughts. Your thoughts are his thoughts because you're numb to everything else. So again, learn to do well, become numb to it all. And when you find yourself numb, that's when you find yourself functioning, not in the flesh, but literally in the spirit. Thank you again. You guys were amazing.
Man, I mean, and there it is, and there it was. I want to say thank you once again. I never wanted to even come across our scene as if I'm finding myself common with such legends and great goats, really, in your own respectful places. I'll go across the board to prove it. We've got, of course, the Bishop Terrence Ruffin, and I mean, I think one of the first viral joints I ever saw was when he did, I think, just one of the first viral videos was the Praise Break video with Myron. Right. And I mean, that's when I'm not that old, so I was young. And so that was one of the first joints like a viral video that I'm like, yo, wait, he is killing. And then of course you go do all the licks. You trying to, hit the licks at the same spot. Your bump is kind of, you regurgitating the bump that you heard. And so, I mean, this for me, this is crazy. I never ever wanted to look like I'm entitled to whoever decides to come on or whoever decides to say yes, et cetera, et cetera. I am excited and thrilled that every one of you said yes. We've got the maestro himself, Archbishop Clinton, who like what Gene said earlier is true. If he plays, you're gonna cry. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. Like it's going to happen. Gene, of course, we appreciate. Gene, of course, I appreciate the fact with Gene that he can go hit 30 countries, come back, and go root his brothers on. Like you see Gene in videos with his guys playing, he don't even want to play the keys. He's sitting in the corner somewhere recording, laughing, goofing out, just having a good time, just being a part of the family, because he's that comfortable and like he just doesn't care. And those are the kind of traits we want to have. Of course, you got the bishop, the apostle, J.R. McDonald, who so effortlessly passed on the torch. And we talked about this personally away from cameras, is he could have held on, and then maybe Bishop Jacobs doesn't really grow as he has. Maybe Christian Bishop was that unlocking key for that brand to just everybody knows who they are now. And maybe in his obedience to let it go and push what was next, there was a bigger blessing for everybody involved. And you never really know these things. Just like our Archbishop Clinton said, I mean, your time is gonna come. When it's that time, you got to recognize that. We've got are you deacon? Are you bishop today, Mike? And just like Ruffin said, he really can lock with anybody. And I mean, he's gonna give you exactly what you need every single time. Speaking of which, I try to give everybody a spacing to where they can get their products advertised. I guess everybody's chilling. Doctor, are you selling that Dear Young Musician shirt or no? Display only?
If you want it, I can get it to you.
If you want the shirt.
To me, this was a platform of sharing, yes, man. And sometimes I believe sometimes some of that stuff can hinder the actual message, because I mean, freely you give, freely you receive, freely you give. Freely you give, freely you receive.
Wow. And then my friend and brother Bruce was on earlier, Pastor Bruce Robinson, who the resume is legitimate. And he just comes on as chill as can be. Had a few phone problems, like super chill. You would never know who he's played for. And I want to say thank you to each one of you, for everyone that tuned in. Thank you if you commented, liked, shared, whatever, etc. Thank you for being a part of this conversation tonight. Until next time, I believe all hearts and minds are clear. And it is so. And so we'll see you guys next time.